Today's lesson is about being different. All of us have something that we are good at, but we may not know it yet. I'm going to read 2 stories about characters who are different than their friends. I want you to be listening and thinking about the message that is in these stories. So the first book we're going to read is Just Narwhal by Laura Eady. Narwhal was a whale who thought she had no skills at all. She couldn't cook, or knit, or sing, or even catch a ball. I already have things in common with Narwhal. I can't knit or sing. Meanwhile, all her mermaid friends were skillful as can be. If they tried out something new, they did it perfectly. Wow, thought Narwhal, every day there's nothing they can't do. But I'm just Narwhal, and I wish that I had talent too. Sometimes I feel like that. One morning, Star and Coral cried to Narwhal in distress. Our art contest has started, but everything's a mess. Distress. Distress means that they are panicking or sad. They have a problem. We need a judge, said Coral, and our time is nearly up. Can you judge our paintings and decide who wins this cup? Narwhal thought, I'll get it wrong, and quickly shook her head. She told them, I'm just Narwhal. I'll find someone else instead. I don't think Narwhal believes in herself yet. She asked Cackle the clownfish to decide which art should win. The prize goes to the funniest, said Cackle with a grin. Narwhal thought, that's not enough with the special prize. That's not enough to win the special prize, but I'm just Narwhal, so I'll check with someone big and wise. She found a big blue whale and asked which painting is the best. The biggest, shouted Jumbo. Forget about the rest. I'm not sure size is everything, said Narwhal quietly, but since I am just Narwhal, I'll make sure Shelley agrees. Shelley scuttled around the art, but judged them selfishly. The shellfish said the winner is the one that features me. Narwhal looked around and thought, these choices don't seem fair. They can't judge one thing alone. There's much more to compare. Narwhal swam to join her friends. I've let you down, she cried. The mermaid said, if that's the case, then you should judge our art. To us, you're not just Narwhal, and we'd love you to take part. Narwhal gave a nervous smile and said, okay, I'll try. And she wrote a list of qualities to judge the paintings by. Narwhal swam around the art and studied each with care. She looked at every brushstroke to make sure that she was fair. At last she said, each piece of art is special in its way, but one checked every box for me. Star wins first prize today. Star held up the shining cup for everyone to see. Then Coral rushed to Narwhal and she hugged her gratefully. She said, you are the finest judge we could have ever found. You're fair and open-minded, the most just Narwhal around. From that day on, Narwhal would judge each contest she could find. And though she couldn't dance or sing, at last she didn't mind. She thought, my skills are hidden. They're not obvious to see. But just like all the paintings, there is so much more to me. So that's the end of this book. Our Narwhal friend, she didn't really want to judge at the beginning because she didn't think she could do it. But in the end, she decided that she would do it. And that she found her hidden talent was for judging. Sometimes our talents are not so obvious, like Narwhal's. The second book we're going to read is Not Quite Ant Narwhal by Jessie Sima. Jessie Sima. Kelp was born deep in the ocean. Kelp doesn't look like a narwhal, does he? He knew early on that he was different from the other narwhals. His tusk wasn't as long as everyone else's. He had different tastes in food. And he wasn't a very good swimmer. I wonder why. But his friends didn't seem to mind, so Kelp decided he wouldn't either. He don't care that he's different. That is, until he was swept away by a strong current. I wish I were a better swimmer. Kelp found himself at the surface, closest to land than he'd ever been before. High up on a cliff, he spotted a mysterious, sparkling creature. It looked so familiar, it looked like Kelp. The little creature up there. Kelp swam toward land as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that he could catch up with the creature that looked just like him. When he finally reached the shore, Kelp felt a little bit anxious. He had never left the ocean. He was nervous about walking for the first time, but the land creatures made it look so easy. It wasn't. He's having a problem. Eventually, he got the hang of it. Everything on land was strange and beautiful, but also kind of scary. Kelp began to think he might never find the creature that looked just like him. But as he stumbled out of the forest, land narwhals. But they're really not, are they? Actually, we're unicorns, and by the looks of it, you are too. Kelp had never heard of unicorns before. They taught him all sorts of new things about his tusk. We call them horns. They introduced him to unicorn delicacies. It's a unicorn. And they showed him how to gallop. There was no doubt that Kelp was, in fact, a unicorn. He was having so much fun that he didn't want to leave. But then he remembered all of his friends under the sea. Kelp missed them terribly, so he said goodbye to the unicorns and returned to the ocean. Come back soon. Kelp swam toward home as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that the narwhals would still like him now that he was a unicorn. When he finally arrived, Kelp had butterflies in his stomach. Welcome home, Kelp. Kelp took a deep breath and told his friends the news. It turns out I'm not a narwhal. Of course you aren't. I'm a unicorn. We all knew that. They took it quite well. Kelp was happy to be home, but now that he'd experienced life on land with the unicorns, he couldn't seem to forget them. Did he want to be a land narwhal with the unicorns, or a sea unicorn with the narwhals? Kelp couldn't decide, but then he realized that maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to choose. So Kelp in this story knew he was a little different, and his family or his narwhals loved him anyway. The two activities we have today are a diagram. We're going to be filling out a Venn diagram. So we're going to compare three things. We're going to compare you, what you can do, how you feel, how you look, to Narwhal and what she could do, and to Kelp, what he could do or couldn't do, and how they felt. The second activity is some questions we're going to be answering between just Narwhal and not quite Narwhal. You're going to fill those out, and that will complete our lesson. I didn't have a printer with me today, so I just kind of drew these on here, but I have attached the actual oh my gosh, copies to when I turn in this video. I'll have them attached
to the assignment.